読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているエキスしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているエキスしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直している
Good morning. Oh, sorry. It's a little late. Well, I'm not late. I started the stream on time, but I got caught up. I kept you waiting for 10 minutes, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but sometimes it takes 10 minutes to get ready. I came home from the gym. I got here at like 7:58. I got my stream started right on time, but I've got my routine I got to do. I had to stretch because my shoulders are so sore. I've been doing these workouts with that vest I told you a while ago, and it fucking hurts. It hurts. I do the if you know what? If you, for those of you who, well, first of all, good morning. And thanks for tuning in to my podcast, Book Club. It's Monday, December 27th. Happy belated Christmas. It's 8:12 in the morning, Mountain Standard Time. We're streaming live on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. And they're all under different names, I think. YouTube is Caden's Podcast. Facebook is Caden's Podcast. And Twitch is under my gamer name, Alpha Seltzer. But then the podcast goes live on Spotify and Apple Podcast tomorrow, and it'll be under Caden's Podcast on both. So, good morning and welcome. Now let me tell you about my workout real fast. Have you ever heard of the Liver King? The Liver King. Not the Lizard King from The Office, but the Liver King. I think his name is it's Brandon something, and he's just some super jacked dude who claims he lives an ancestral lifestyle, and he does, because I've been following him for a couple weeks, and he has posted videos of the bed that he sleeps on, which is just wooden slats with a towel. And I read a post this morning that my buddy sent me about his hygiene routine, which is nothing. He washes his balls and his pits with water and maybe some tallow, but that's it. Doesn't brush his teeth, doesn't brush his hair, doesn't shower, and he has an explanation for it all. And his explanation makes sense to me. It's just so different from how everyone lives today. The claim is that our ancestors never bathed on a regular schedule or as intensely as we do today. So Why would he? Because of our bodies are chemically designed to handle the things that nature throws at us. So he's got a point. I think he's got a point. It's very primal. It's a very primal lifestyle. His bed is he says he tries to imitate the hard earth floor that our ancestors used to sleep on, and they try to cushion themselves with leaves. So he puts towels down and sleeps on wooden slats. And then the workouts he does are super intense carries. Oh, excuse me. Got my coffee. It's making me burp a little. Mm-hmm. He posts videos of him. He carries big ass chains around his neck. He carries big ass kettlebells in both hands. He ties his waist to a sleigh and pulls a sleigh. Then he's got weights on his wrists and his ankles, and he just fucking walks with probably like close to 300 pounds. So I guess my workouts have been pretty close to what he's been doing, because really what I do is just a ton of heavy carrying. I put that 50-pound vest on, and I grab two 50-pound kettlebells, and I just walk around the gym and do squats with the kettlebells and do deadlifts with the kettlebells. And then sometimes I'll stop and do push-ups. I'll do upright rows, and I'll do bent over rows, and I'll do snatches, just all with this vest. And then I'll walk on the treadmill, incline treadmill. Oh, it's so heavy. It's all fucking so heavy. The first time when I was starting to do it, this outside part of my forearm used to get so sore. The first time it was such a weird soreness. I never experienced it before, but right here on the outside of my forearm. For those of you who are watching the stream will know where I'm pointing to, but it's just this outside of the forearm, and it's not that hard to figure out. And then today I've wondered why. I thought it was maybe because of the push-ups with the extra weight. It's just an awkward spot in the push-up. I don't know, but today when I was doing the carries, I was carrying these kettlebells up and down stairs, and keeping it tight and kind of keeping my shoulders engaged as I carry. I could feel it from the carry. It was just from the farmer's carry, man. It's a tough ass workout. But you know what? I think I love the idea of this kind of exercise, because really, and it's gonna sound ridiculous because I'm gonna sound like the fucking Liver King, but it's a really primal way to exercise, is just to carry heavy shit. Because our ancestors they didn't have Gold's Gyms. They didn't have Gold's Gym. And they didn't have Vasa. And they didn't have, sorry, I'm still a little sick. Well, I'm not sick, but I'm still coughing from last week. Excuse me. They didn't have a fucking Vasa. So because they didn't need it, because all day long they would stalk animals and hunt them. And they would hike through the mountains and pick berries and fix their houses all day long and move wood around and just carry water around. They were carrying everything. They'd hunt an animal, and then they would carry it back to camp. And they would pick baskets full of berries and shit, and then they would carry that to camp. And you've seen the videos of the people from Africa carrying big jugs of water on their heads. People just carried shit. They've always carried shit. And now we do all of this bench press and front squats, which serve their purpose and make us look good because we have the luxury of not having to hunt for our food all the time. But these carrying exercises are so awesome. I think they're going to prep me for my future Spartan races in a decent manner. A lot of the Spartan is forearm grip strength, being able to suspend from hold yourself up on what would you like, monkey bars, swinging through monkey bars that are parallel. They're like, again, if you're watching the video, you'll see what I'm doing. But instead of swinging like this, so there are some that swing like this, and then there are some that are like poles that you swing like this. And then there are some that are like swings, and you have to yeah. And then there's ring monkey bars. There's a lot of that. Um, there's a lot. So there's a lot of grip strength that way, and then there's a lot of uh, there is a lot of carrying. You get big ass buckets of rocks, sling them on your shoulders, or carry them in front of you, and you carry those around. What else? There's running, of course, from obstacle to obstacle. There's some crawling. There's a lot. It's full body. It's really primal exercises. And when it starts to warm up, I'll get outside and stick closer to the Spartan training regimen. But I think I said, I've been incorporating some of their exercises with the vest, because they're really good. They're really good for your full body workout. So anyway, we got after it this morning. Did you get after it this morning? Never miss a Monday. Liver King says, never miss a Monday or a holiday or a rest day. That's what the Liver King says. And he calls himself the Liver King because he eats liver, and he eats animal organs, because that's a primal thing to do. Yeah. If you know Dr. Andrew Saladino, Saladin, something like that. Andrew Saladino, I believe. He calls himself the Carnivore MD, and he promotes eating animal organs, raw dairy, and fresh fruit. Only that, for the healthiest diet you can come up with. He's awesome too. Him and Liver King are some of my recent followers, or follows. I wish they were followers, baby. They're some of my recent follows. I love that. I love the primal way to live. If you listen to the podcast before, you listen to some of these books that I've read, I'm really attracted to the ancestral behaviors that really it's shaped how our brains and bodies function. And now we live in this world of this concrete jungle that doesn't make any sense to our ancestral DNA. So anyway, it has nothing to do with the book that I read for today. Hey, Isaquelilis and Angelus XD232. Buy followers, primes, and viewers on this website. No, I'm not going to, because that's ridiculous. So why don't you fuck off? I wonder how they get all these bots in here, and I wonder who's actually buying the followers, primes, and viewers. Yeah, there's people out there trying to scam you all day long. Life is a scam. All right, let's move on. So that was my morning. I had a great Christmas. We had 3 families to spend time with, and we got to spend time with all of them. It was great. Very lucky to have so many people looking out for me and my girlfriend, and comfortable houses, comfortable places, gifts, the whole 9 yards. Very fortunate. It was a great weekend, holiday weekend. And then we have another holiday this weekend, and it will be exciting as well. So wherever you're at for the New Year's, be safe as well. Always be safe and go have fun. And I want to go to bed at 9:30 on New Year's, but no one's going to let me, and that's fine. Because what are we waiting for till midnight? We're just getting fucked up, and we're waiting for the clock to turn to 12 o'clock, because then it's 2022, and then whoop-de-doo, and then we go to bed. And then some people are so fucked up that they just keep drinking until it's 4 in the morning. That's not how I'm trying to start my New Year's, but I got to get a grip. I got to get a grip on being such a stick in the mud, because I like to spend quality time with my friends. And holidays and traditions are important. I understand. But I don't like staying up late. I never have. That's not true. I used to like staying up late, but now I hate staying up late because I get up at 5 and I carry 50-pound vests and two 50-pound kettlebells around. And that's what I do. And that's because then I need to get some sleep so I can do that. Oh, what a terrible existence. All right, let's talk about this book. Funny story. I bought this book because my girlfriend bought this book a couple weeks ago. And it's on I think it's on the top 10 bestsellers on Apple Podcasts right now, either overall or under just the self-development section. I can't remember which. Self-improvement, mental health, whatever. So top 10, she got it, so I decided to get it. And then for Christmas, Santa had put it under the tree, and I told Santa that I have already read this book. And then also I was at my grandma's for Christmas, and she gave everybody Extreme Ownership. And I also had already read that one. And I was so excited that everybody was there to and everyone there got the book because it's both of these books so good. This one that we're reading today, The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest or Weist, Wiest. Weist, I before E, Weist. Heist, Hiest, Heist, Wiest, Weist. Brianna Wiest. The Mountain Is You, transforming self-sabotage into self-mastery. Let me tell you a little bit about Brianna. Oh, but you know what? I think I remember there is no author description in this book. I remember because when my girlfriend got this book, I was looking for it, and it's not in here. And then I Googled who she is, and she is, if I remember right, she's a 29-year-old from Nashville, and she's a writer, and she writes all the time. And on her Instagram, she writes poems and a bunch of self-help quotes, and she, so that's all I either remember or all I gathered. She has another bestseller book called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think, or change something about you, something like that. 101 Essays That Will Change Something About You. And if you read this book, I'm sure it's kind of laid out the same as that 101 Essays, but it's not like it's an interesting writing style. It's not like paragraph by paragraph. It's like sentence by sentence. She writes just like hit quotes. And then double taps enter. Oh, excuse me. I'm a mess. I still am sick. I'm still getting over it. Well, I feel great. My energy and my mental clarity has been restored. But I still have freaking snot up the wazoo. It sucks. Yeah. So, lots of just like quotes. A lot of quotes that not a ton of elaboration. Well, there's good elaboration. Let's just talk about the fucking book. The Mountain Is You, transforming self-sabotage into self-mastery. Let's get some coffee. All right, let me get my notes. I got to figure out a better way to do this because this takes up so much time. Writing the notes. I'm listening to the book while I'm cleaning carpets. And I have to stop every time I hear something that's awesome and write it down. And it's not the worst way to do it, but it takes up some time. Shoot, I didn't write down the chapters. This book's broken down into like 9 chapters, I believe. No parts or nothing. Just let's see, 7 chapters. It was not a long read. It was like 5.5 hours. Got it done in a couple days. Okay. Chapter 1, The Mountain is You. I got to just add these in because you know what I do? I'm going to try to print off these notes one of these days and put them in my books that I have. Okay. Self-sabotage is a type of coping mechanism when we refuse to meet our innermost needs. Our identity is shaped by our experiences. To change our identity, we need to change our opinion of our experiences. We cannot have peace in life if we live to numb our discomforts through distractions. Boy, oh boy, as if you haven't heard that already from me. We cannot have peace in life if we live to numb our discomforts through distractions. Self-sabotage is a type of coping mechanism when we refuse to meet our innermost needs. That's like the whole fucking point of all of self-help and self-improvement and whatever, is neglecting our innermost needs. And what are our innermost needs? Well, I think they vary from person to person, but every person needs to feel some things and to have some things. When did we talk about how we have objective needs like food and shelter and water, and then we have subjective needs, and what were those? Shit, that was a good point. Like we have subjective needs. Oh shit. Was it 12 Rules for Life, The Comfort Crisis? Yeah, we have subjective needs as well as our objective needs. Fuck. I need to find that because that was a good. That sucks. Yeah, I'm looking through my notes, through my old books to see if I can find subjective needs, but it was like we have emotional needs. We have oh shit. That sucks because I don't make notes because I don't think about this beforehand all the time. I don't think about what I'm going to say. I read the notes and then I make the notes and then I read them on the podcast. I wonder, can you I'm going to search subjective needs. Ugh. No books came up. Subjective. Oh, you know what? I think it was the Thich Nhat Hanh book, Zen and the Art of Saving the. I'm sorry, I got to find this because this goes exactly with our needs. This is the root of the book, is our needs. Yeah, beyond. Oh, I'm so glad I found this. Beyond our basic needs, food, shelter, and a partner to love, we need understanding, love, or compassion, and deep peace. So when we neglect our innermost needs, we are self-sabotaging ourselves. That's the point of this book. Beyond food, shelter, and a partner to love, we need understanding, to feel compassion, and deep peace. Oh, I'm so glad I found that. So that's chapter 1. Self-sabotage is a coping mechanism when we refuse to meet our innermost needs. We cannot have peace in life if we live to numb our discomforts through distractions. Here's a quote. The first step in healing anything is taking full accountability. What does that sound like? That sounds a whole lot like extreme ownership. Healing and having peace is fixing what you feel on the inside, not what you have on the outside. Quote, the greatest form of self-love is no longer accepting a life you are unhappy with. See what I mean? I mean, you could probably imagine how she just comes up with banger after banger of quotes. She has a that's a one paragraph in her book. The greatest form of self-love is no longer accepting a life you are unhappy with. That's chapter 1. The mountain is you. You are the one getting in between your innermost fulfilling your innermost needs. Chapter 2. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. Okay. She comes up with she does a lot of lists. She does a lot of lists, so I'm gonna read through them. And I only wrote down the lists that I thought were relevant to, or at least that I thought were inspiring. Self-sabotage is a self-defense mechanism. We protect ourselves from the unknown of change and hide behind comforts and distractions. Yeah, I say that shit all the time. Things like the internet, and video games, and porn, and food, and laying in bed, and Netflix. I think I said Netflix twice. Those are things that we consume to avoid how we're feeling on the inside. And we had this conversation with my grandpa on Christmas, who is a farmer, and I'm wearing his ranch T-shirt today, Wolf River Ranch. Gotta represent. So he's just an old school rancher. He raises cattle and he grows hay and feeds the cattle, and he spends his whole life, spends all of his time these days, raising these cattle and then slaughtering them, turning them to packaging the meat and selling the meat. And it's all this really, really healthy, lean beef, locally raised, and anyway, not loaded with chemicals and crap or whatever. You get what I'm saying. He loves it, and that's his life. And on Christmas, we were talking about how we need to get Grandpa set up with audiobooks and podcasts that help him figure out how to do that so he can consume all of this info. We're talking about Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life, for life. And he's a super down-to-earth, super wise, intelligent person. And while I agree that I'm a prime example of just constantly consuming crap. Not crap, but just consuming knowledge, trying to consume information and knowledge and trying to improve my mental position. But my argument against getting Grandpa set up is he's already a super wise, informed, intelligent person. And he doesn't do the podcasts and the books, the audiobooks. He doesn't put in headphones all day. I think, and he still consumes information. And I imagine his routine is something like working all day and then coming home, and I believe he watches TV, he watches the news, and he reads the daily newspaper every single day, front to back. But for the 6 to 8 hours that he's working, he's driving from place to place, and he's in his tractor, and he's taking care of the cows, and he's walking around his fields, and he's thinking all of his thoughts. He's in his mind all day long. While I'm walking around cleaning carpets with headphones, and everyone else has headphones or has their speakers playing or is connected to their Bluetooth in their car listening to something, whether it's podcasts or books or whether it's music or whatever it is. Music and podcasts and books are a form of distraction. They're distractions. And what are they distracting you from? They're distracting you from your thoughts and from your thought process. They're preventing you from being in yourself. I've made it a habit to, I've recognized this a while ago, and I've made it a habit to not listen to any music to and from the gym or to and from yoga. No music, no podcast, nothing. To make that time consecrated to being in my thoughts. Because for some reason, I remember Kanye West making a tweet or something about not using your phone early in the morning because when you're waking up, your brain is running crazy, and when you get on your phone, you're stopping your thought process. So for some reason, I think about that, and I take Kanye's advice, and I think my grandpa is so wise and he's so down to earth because he's so in tune with who he is and how he thinks. And when something controversial comes across his plate, he's able to digest it and understand it and do it rationally. And then he's able to have a conversation about it and give his opinion or give his thoughts. I think everyone has distractions and no one wants to be uncomfortable. And I've talked about this a ton before. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. We consume a whole bunch of stuff all the time to avoid discomfort in life. However, it's so important to be uncomfortable sometimes, especially the easiest example is the gym. If you go to the gym and you're working hard, none of it's comfortable. Wearing the vest for 45 minutes is not comfortable at all at no point of time throughout the exercise. But that's the point. That's the fucking point. It's not supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. You're supposed to be uncomfortable. Especially, you're supposed to be aware of what's happening, and you're not supposed to avoid it all the time. You're supposed to feel those things. You're supposed to feel uncomfortable. No one wants to be uncomfortable. No one wants to sit outside in the rain or in the snow or in the wind. But doing that brings on feelings and emotions, and being able to sit in those feelings and emotions and understand them for what they are is where you gain real, sincere opinions. I keep looking at the clock for some reason. I never look at the clock, but we're already 40 minutes in. So I'm sorry, but we're in chapter 2 and we're 40 minutes in. It's a shorter book. I'll keep going. Excuse me. So that's the point. I'm sorry. That's a tangent, but I was thinking my grandpa's so wise, and I think it's because he's so good at consuming or digesting information. Like the consuming, people can consume, like I consume a ton, but just as important is consuming is digesting and meditating on information. And it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable to not be happy in life, and if you aren't happy in your marriage, or you don't like your kids, or you don't like your roommates, or whatever, like things bug you. You don't like your job. Your boss bugs you, your coworkers bug you, and you can either accept that and meditate on it and think why it's happening and learn how to improve the situation with the other person, or to just hide behind the distractions, to come home and get drunk every day, every night, or to go to work and sit on your phone and avoid the work. You can avoid the discomfort with distraction, or you can embrace it and improve. That's what I'm trying to say. So, that's a thought that I've had before. I think everything that I've said. Anyway, whatever. What the fuck ever. We protect ourselves from the unknown of change and hide behind comforts and distractions. Okay, so here's a cycle of self-sabotage. I'm gonna read them all real fast, and then I have maybe a couple thoughts. Cycle of self-sabotage. Resistance, upper limit, which is your tolerance for experiencing positive events. Uprooting or constantly seeking fresh starts. Perfectionism, limited emotional processing skills. Justification, disorganization, attachment to what you really don't want. Judging others, pride, guilt of succeeding, fear of failing, downplaying successes, unhealthy habits, being constantly busy, spending time with the wrong people, and worrying about irrational fears. These are all cycles of self-sabotage, things that we do to prevent ourselves from, how did she describe it? To refuse, coping mechanisms when we refuse to meet our innermost needs. I took a quote from under justification that I loved. Not showing up to do the work is you ultimately saying you prioritize the excuse over your ambition. Why aren't you going to the gym? Why don't you eat well? And why don't you write when you want to write? And why don't you start the podcast? Or why don't you start reading? Why don't you read? Why don't you go to yoga? Why don't you do Pilates? Or why don't you go get a new job? Or why don't you ask that person out? Or whatever the hell it is. If you go with your excuses, you're telling yourself you prioritize the excuse over your ambition or over your desires. Do you prioritize your excuses over your ambition? I thought that was huge. And again, self-sabotage is just it's a coping mechanism for ourselves to avoid discomforts, to avoid the uncomfortable things. But self-sabotage is neglecting our innermost needs. So maybe we'll talk. She talks about that later on. So okay, so yeah, resistance, your tolerance for experiencing positive events, seeking fresh starts, perfectionism, limited emotional processing skills. These are all things we do to cope with uncomfortable realities of life that cause us to neglect our innermost needs. This is self-sabotage, guilt of succeeding, fear of failing, pride, judging others, disorganization, unhealthy habits, downplaying successes, constantly being busy. She has a lot of lists. So, maybe I don't want to read this one. How to tell if you are self-sabotaging. You're more aware of what you don't want than what you do. You put more effort into impressing people you don't like. You're putting your head in the sand or denial or unaware of what is happening in your life. You spend more time convincing people you are okay. Your main priority in life is to be liked. You're more afraid of your feelings than anything else. Ooh, my hair is doing a little pokey poke. Yeah. Sorry, that was gross. My hair. Wow. Sorry. I was on a roll. You're more afraid of your feelings than anything else. You are blindly chasing goals. You treat your coping mechanisms as the problem. You value your doubt more than your potential. You try to care about everything. You wait for validation for the life you want to live. You don't realize how far you've come. These are how to tell if you're self-sabotaging. Emotions are not a representation of what you are capable of. That was a quote. I liked that quote. Emotions are not a representation of what you're capable of, which reminds me of the comfort crisis, saying, our feeling of exhaustion when we're exercising is usually an emotional response, rather than us meeting our limits. When we're exercising and we feel tired, that's our body saying, "Hey, dummies, stop working so hard. We need to conserve our energy because we don't know if we're going to get any food." But our bodies are far more capable of performing than we give it credit for. All of our bodies are resilient and strong. That's how we're alive. We're the ancestors of savages. Remember the Liver King carrying all that shit? Well, we are the ancestors. We're the descendants. Excuse me. They're our ancestors. We are the descendants of the savagest of the savage. Savagest. Yeah, I'm gonna run with that one. That's the reality of it. So, our bodies are come from the strongest and the most savage ancestors. Our bodies are strong, and when we feel exhausted or we feel tired, that's our body saying, "Hey, this is uncomfortable, and we don't want to do this." But our bodies and our minds are far more capable of performing and overperforming if we have the mental fortitude and strength and endurance. But that takes accepting the uncomfortable truths, accepting the discomfort of whatever you're enduring, and going through it anyway. Remember what Mike Tyson said? Discipline is doing what you hate to do, and you do it like you love it. You're doing what you hate to do and doing it like you love it. That's chapter 2. Let's move on. I got to find chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called Your Triggers Are the Guide to Your Freedom. Are the guide to your freedom. Sorry, I forgot to label them when I wrote these down. Let me get some coffee. Jeez. We're popping off this morning. 47 minutes in. I got to try to keep this to an hour. All right, but I guess the first 10 minutes I was not gone, so we're 37 minutes in. All right. Chapter 3. Negative emotions like anger or embarrassment occur naturally and cannot be avoided. Understanding why they arise and how to deal with them is the best way to deal with self-sabotaging triggers. Yeah. Yep. Negative emotions are natural. Feeling angry or fear or uncomfortable or embarrassed, these are natural responses to external stimuli. And I think I've talked about this before too, how I think it was from Thich Nhat Hanh's book too, how we are in when life gets hard, focus on what you can control. And I believe the only things that are in your control are your physical response and your mental response. But our emotional response is out of our control because our emotional response is a chemical reaction to an external stimuli. So like if you are getting sexually intimate with somebody, your body reacts in a certain way and you feel certain emotions. And you can think in your brain, in your head, you think, oh, this is nice, and this is appropriate, or this is inappropriate, or whatever the situation is. But your emotions are gonna are gonna respond in a way that you can't control. Same thing when you eat food. Same thing when you exercise, or when you have even just conversations with people. If someone says something, quote unquote triggering, you can say in your head, I disagree with what this person says, or what this person said was rude, but I'm not gonna respond. I'm not gonna verbally say anything back. But your emotions, you get your hairs in the back of your neck stick up, and you get goosebumps, and you're feeling anger or you're feeling uncomfortable. Those emotions are natural, and we can't control them, but we can always control our response mentally. We can at least recognize what our body is feeling, because we can't control how our body responds to things, but we can recognize them and then decide how we're going to respond. And that's what makes a mentally tough person. And she talks about this later on. She says to trust your instinct, and I said, what if you have shitty instincts? Trust your instinct. What if you have a shitty instinct? And this is what she has to say about that. Excuse me. Feelings do not inform you what decisions to make. Feelings confirm a decision you made was good or bad. You begin experiencing feelings of peace and joy when you incorporate daily habits that facilitate clarity, calmness, healthfulness, HEALTH, fullness, and purposefulness. Become aware and organize your feelings. I'll say that the first part again was a quote. The quote is, feelings do not inform you what decisions to make. Feelings confirm a decision you made was good or bad. And good decisions bring good feelings of peace and joy when you incorporate daily habits that facilitate clarity, calmness, healthfulness, and purposefulness. So I think that's her response to having a shitty intuition. You need to be aware of. You need to have good habits. You need to make good habits, make good decisions. And like I said, if someone says something shitty to you, and you bite your tongue and you let that thing slide, you might feel angry and uncomfortable. But imagine the response if you had checked that person, or if you had snapped back with something else that was rude. Some people like to engage in fighting, so there's that, but that doesn't. But the feeling, do people feel good when they fight? I don't know. I'm not a fighter. I know that I hate the contention, the confrontation, when by being rude in my disagreements. 'Cause you can disagree and have a good conversation and be respectful and not feel shitty. But I feel shitty when I'm rude to people. I feel shitty when I'm rude, even when I'm driving. Like this morning, I was driving home from the gym, and there was this fucking guy going 10 under the speed limit. And I was like, whoa, this fucking guy. And I come around him and I'm speeding up and I pass and it's just some old guy driving a car and I'm like, man, it's just an old guy. Like, who fucking cares? And how much time did I lose because I was following him? So yeah, your feelings your feelings indicate that the decision you made was good or bad. That's what your feelings are designed to do. She also talks about intuition versus intrusion of thoughts. Oh, hey, Bamoon, good morning. It's just an old guy. Give him the finger. Yeah, I know, man. But I really thought my grandpa. My grandpa drives slow. He's an old guy, and like, what if I'm sure people are doing the same thing to my grandpa, and he's just a fucking old guy driving around. Talking a lot about my grandpa, Wolf River Ranch. Mad respect. But yeah, I'm a teenager, and I was running behind because I was at the gym for too long, or because I left the house too late. So I was trying to get home, and I was getting impatient with the old guy driving in front of me. It's just life. It's just life. Intuition versus intrusion. Intuitive thoughts are calm, rational, offer help in the present, open-minded, induce peace, and tell you what you think or feel. That's intuition, calm and rational. Intrusive thoughts are hectic, irrational, random and distracting, close-minded, induce fear and assume what other people think or feel. So thoughts that you have, this is your instinct. Does your intuition give you peace and clarity, or are they intrusive? Are they hectic and irrational and close-minded? Ignore those. Everyone gets intrusive thoughts. I have intrusive thoughts all the fucking time. But I also have intuitive thoughts, and it's important to recognize the difference. Again, the chapter is called Your Triggers Are the Guide to Your Freedom. So recognize what sets you off, your triggers, and as I've been talking about this for this whole chapter, recognize how your body, how your emotions respond to external events, and then make good decisions. And making good decisions will induce feelings of peace and clarity, and bad decisions will induce feelings of chaos and discomfort, which is different than discomforts from doing something hard like exercising. But doing something wrong to anyway, you get it. You get the point. I got to keep this concise. I need to be better at that. Chapter 4, Building Emotional Intelligence. Let me get some more coffee. Yup. It's so so good. Building emotional intelligence. A mind-blowing singular breakthrough event doesn't I'll say that one more time. A mind-blowing singular breakthrough event doesn't alter the course of your life. A micro shift does. The outcomes of life are not governed by passion, but by principle. And this is easily explained as just as simple little baby changes in your daily routine or in your habits. And the best example that I have of this is, I know I have a couple people in my life who I love dearly who have tried, who are just gone through life and their circumstances change. And I want to talk about them because their experiences are personal and whatever. And I have not talked to them about sharing this. But life happens and people go through life, and then your daily routine changes, your habits change, and sometimes they change for the worse. And these people, they have. I'm blessed to have been an influence to them, to help encourage them to want to do better. That's kind of the point of this, why I do all this shit that I do anyways. I want to inspire others to improve their lives. And I'm no shining example, but I work hard almost every day, just about every day. Like this weekend, I took a lot of time off to relax with my family. But I spent a lot of my time and my energy trying to improve myself to become the person that I want to be in the future. And these people have came to me and asked for help to do to improve to get back on track after they've lost it a little. And my advice to them was, instead of making big changes to see big results, make small changes. Make small changes. Let's say, like, instead of like these people drink lots of soda. And so instead of just cutting out soda entirely, my advice was, include a glass of water with every Coke that you drink, or with every Mountain Dew that you drink. And instead of cutting out all junk food and going all clean food right away, incorporate one side dish of something healthy with whatever food you're eating, and do that consistently for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then add more water and less Coke, and add more healthy food and less unhealthy food. And instead of starting going to the gym for an hour a day, if you've never exercised, if you stopped exercising, part of the habits book, what was the habits book that I just recently read? Atomic Habits. Instead of going from zero exercise to an hour a day, go from zero hours a day to just driving to the gym and walking in and out. Because because once you build the habit and you build on that. Anyway, that's the point. I don't need to go into it. This was my advice to them, and people want to see big changes, and they want to change where they're at in life. So they do, instead of taking my advice, they go big. And one of their responses was, I'm not going to change if I don't make big changes. And I said, all right, it's your life, and you know yourself better than I know you. So they make the big changes, and then they stick for a week, and then they go away. And that's fine. It's just life is hard sometimes. It's hard to make good, healthy changes when the life you live is so comfortable. And I was thinking that I do hard shit pretty much every day. And carpet cleaning for a long time was really hard for me, but now it's comfortable. It's a comfortable thing. And I don't do a whole lot to challenge myself at my job anymore. It's changing for me. There's a lot of changes happening in my job recently, in my work, but it's kind of forced me to make big changes and to seek improvement. But what I'm saying is, even when your routine is already hard, it becomes comfortable, and you have to actively work to continue to make it challenging, to continue to see improvement. And part of that for me has been extending my gym time, going from 30 minutes to 45, from 45 to 60, from 60 to 75. And now I've incorporated my writing, and instead of writing for 10 to 15, go from 15 to 30, and then 30 to 45, and then post my entries on a blog, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, to continue to challenge yourself. So anyway, you got to always continue to challenge yourself if you want to see improvement, because everything becomes comfortable, no matter how difficult it is. Even for people like Goggins and Cameron Haynes and Rogan, life becomes, or your ambitions become your new base level, your baseline, and you become comfortable in that. And you have to continue to push yourself. If you want to excel and you want to be better, you have to continue to push yourself, which means you got to go harder and you got to go longer. Oh, I'm fucking on a rip right now. Let's go. I'll go back to chapter 4, building emotional intelligence. So, emotional intelligence, the first principle that I just read, the point is, small changes consistently make bigger changes down the road for you than a single breakthrough experience. Your mind is anti-fragile, like your immune system. The more you challenge it, the stronger it becomes. Biological advantage to this is humans becoming innovative. Instead of trying to hack what's next, get better at where you are currently. Quote, what you consistently do is what you adapt to. Oh, yeah, I wrote that down because I had a blog entry that was titled, "You are what you consistently think, say, and do over time," or something like that. And I thought it was an original thought, and I've heard several people say something like that. And I think I have thoughts like that, and I think they're original because I hear it all the time, and I just forget where it comes from. But then I learned that I think Aristotle said it. Aristotle said, "We are what we consistently do. Therefore, actually, I want to find that whole quote. Aristotle said it first, though, and I don't even read Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Let's see. Oh, my favorite quote of all time is a misattribution. Yeah, I think people are like, it's not Aristotle. It's another guy that I'm not familiar with. Will Durant. Okay. So let's give Will Durant the credit for this. We are not what we repeatedly do. Excuse me, I said that way wrong. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. There you go. That's Will Durant. Or Aristotle, but who cares? It wasn't me. Hey, B Moon, harder and longer, you say? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Harder and longer. If you want to be excellent at something, harder and longer. Some things don't get harder and longer, though, if you know what I mean. So, anyway, your mind, but I love this principle of anti-fragility. Your mind is anti-fragile, like your immune system. The more you challenge it, the stronger it becomes. The more sick you get, you don't want to get sick and die, but if you get sick, your immune system fights it, and if it wins, it becomes stronger. Same with your brain. The more you challenge it with study and conversation and dialogue and meditation, the more you challenge it and are in those moments of discomfort, the stronger it becomes. It's anti-fragile. That's chapter 4. Chapter 5, releasing our lives. By the way, hey B Moon, I'm glad you're here. I know you got a new job and you've been unavailable in the mornings for the podcast, so I love to see you in here. And I also miss your face in real life. So I know we saw each other a couple weeks ago, but I hope you were on vacation. Hope it's all good. Chapter 5, releasing our lives. Focusing on letting go only keeps you grounded to whatever you're trying to let go of. When like if you're going through a breakup and people are like, just let it go, you don't need that person, just let it go. Well, the more you tell yourself to let it go, the more grounded you become into it, because it's like the more you think about it, the harder it is to let it go. It's like saying, don't think about a white elephant. Well, it's this principle. Your mind is going to just drift to the white elephant. So the way to actually let something go is to remove it from your thought process and from your routine. Let that thing run its course. Be okay to break down. Accept the losses. That's part of changing. You become happy when you accept where you're at in life, not when you fix everything you don't like. We do not want what is bad for us. We are simply too afraid to let go, that we will not be able to replace it with something better. Bad relationships, or not bad, but maybe unhealthy relationships, unhealthy jobs or job life. We have a hard time letting these things go because sometimes we do not feel like we deserve better or that we can get better jobs or better relationships. Okay, here's the dichotomy. To what extent are you supposed to accept what you have in life, and what do you need to change? I think about this sometimes too, because a lot of self-help it's like, hey, accept where you're at in life and accept what you have and what you don't have, because that's just what it is and what life is all about. But then she says something like this, and sometimes you got to let it go. But like, what do you let go? Now, it's think about. You can think about it in your relationship, or like if your spouse or your partner bugs you one time or maybe 10 times. Like, what's the limit? How much patience are you supposed to put into a relationship, or into a job, or into a friendship, before you deem that thing unhealthy or not worth your time or your energy? To what extent are you patient with your circumstance and what's the point of letting that thing go? That's interesting. Like people want big houses and they want nice cars and they want this and that. And the Stoics say that a thatched roof serves just as well as, or what is it? A roof of thatch serves just as well as a roof of gold. And I don't know what thatch is, but I don't even know if that's the right word. That from the quote from Seneca, but that's what I'm rolling with. So wooden roof serves just as well as a golden roof. But here's the point is, if that's the truth, then if you actually believe that, then why would you not want just the bare minimum? Is it just accepting the bare minimum, or is it accepting what you're able to achieve or accepting what you're able to get? Because I can work really hard and make a lot of money and go get a nice house with a golden roof, or I can accept my lot in life and have this house that I have in Layton, Utah, in the middle of downtown Layton, and accept it for what it is, and then not be ambitious for a golden roof. Like what and then the same thing for a relationship. I can be happy with the awesome relationship I have, or I can have the grass is always greener mentality and just go after another person who, whatever, to what extent are you anyway? So she kind of says both things in this section that I wrote down. Be okay to accept losses and to let things run their course. It's part of changing. It's part of life. You become happy when you accept where you're at in life, not when you fix everything you don't like. Then she also says, we do not want what is bad for us. We are just simply too afraid to let go, that we will not be able to replace it with something better. So it's an interesting thought to have, I think, to think about things that you have as good enough. To what level do you accept what you have, and at what point do you decide it's not worth it, or you need to get better, or you need to remove something? All right. I love this. This helps put my thoughts on meditating in. Put my thoughts. Anyway, okay. Quote: stop meditating to feel calm. Meditate to feel. Close quote. The point is to sit idly and feel the good and bad thoughts and feelings that come in. The most effective way to feel better from an undesired emotion is to feel it. To feel it. And that goes into what she's talking about with letting go. Let these emotions, these good and bad emotions, come in. Let them run their course. Let them bounce around in your head and feel those emotions. And then let it go. And you let it go by not dwelling on it and not thinking about it, but or not letting it run your emotions in your day-to-day life. Let it go. Stop meditating to feel calm. Meditate to feel. See and feel bad emotions and don't respond. And not responding is self-mastery. See and feel bad emotions and not responding is self-mastery. There is no before and after to self-improvement. There is only the journey. Love that about meditation and accepting. Yeah, I mean, I could keep going. We're running low on time, short on time, but I think the point is, I think you decide ultimately what you accept as your lot in life, quote unquote, and then what you decide what you need to let go and find improvement. And Mark Manson from The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck gives a lot of relationship advice on his Instagram, and a lot of it is finding a good person. I don't know why I'm focusing on relationship, but the point is, he says you think or you need to find a person who meets you in your in your goals and your ambition and your desire, and doesn't have the same stuff, but meets your values. And if you value hard work, or if you value like a housewife or whatever, like someone that meets your values, and then understanding that this is like part of having a happy relationship is putting in the effort into making the relationship work, and not by tolerating things that go against your innermost values, but by understanding that this person meets your values and is just a person and makes mistakes. I don't know. There's my thought. And I guess you can apply that to your job, and you can apply that to your friendships and other things that are applicable. What are you willing to tolerate? What makes meets your values, and then working to maintain those relationships and maintain those career decisions that you've made. All right, that's chapter 6. I'm sorry, that's chapter 5. Chapter 6. 2 more chapters and we're done. Building a new future. How to overcome trauma. Here's a list. Identify what caused the traumatic experience. Reinstate a sense of safety. Stop taking thoughts and feelings at face value, and stop engaging in psychic thinking or predicting events and assuming people's intentions. That's how to overcome trauma. How to become your most powerful self. Envision who that person is, how they think, and what they do. Be aware of your weaknesses. Be willing to be disliked. Act on purpose. Do your, quote, inner work. The small everyday grind and focus work. And learn to validate your feelings. It's not about crying less. It's about having fewer things to cry about. That's how to become your most powerful self. Under be willing to be disliked, I said, accept that what you do or say will upset people, and do or say anyway. Act on purpose, I said, move from a live for the moment to a live for the legacy mindset. Don't live for moment to moment, live for your future self. That's part of your why. Hey B Moon, is it saying you can't cry or cry less? It's saying yeah, this is an important distinction. She's saying that crying is good and you should cry, but you should have fewer things to cry about. You shouldn't fill your life with things that make you sad. That's the point. You should cry, because crying is a powerful release of emotion. I think so. But don't fill your life with things that make you cry. Like sad cry. I happy cry all the time. I happy cry when I watch fucking Yellowstone. And I happy cry when I like in Breaking Bad. I was happy crying in Breaking Bad. Dog videos. Yeah. I cry watching. Yeah. So like happy crying is good, but don't fill your life with things that make you sad cry. Have fewer things to sad cry about. How about that? That makes that rings more true. Yeah. That's what she calls validating your feelings. It's not about crying less. It's about having fewer things to cry about. Nice. When you have problems, you need principles. If you have work problems, a new job doesn't solve your problems. You need work principles. Problems don't make you stronger if you don't learn from them, if you don't adapt. I love this idea of principles. I've developed my own sense of principles over time and to me it's all about things you're willing to tolerate and things that you will not tolerate. So for work, if your boss or your job demands constant overtime and it takes away from if you don't, it makes you depressed. If having a ton of overtime, needing to work a ton of overtime makes you depressed, then you should not tolerate it. But some people like the overtime and they don't have a lot of other things going on at home in their life, so they work the overtime. It's something that they can tolerate. Like if your boss is, or if your coworker, like what are you willing to tolerate? What are you willing to tolerate in your work life, with your money, in your career, with your hobbies, with your partner, with your kids, with your friends? What are you willing to tolerate? And what are you not willing to tolerate? You need to create principles, and you need to live strictly by those principles. And those principles are subject to change, because life happens and opinions change and whatever. So develop principles to live your life by. This rings true. Instead of living by goals, having these what's the word I'm looking for? What's abstract goals? Instead of having abstract goals, create principles and standards that you live by, and then live by them. Like, the goal isn't to be in bed at 10 o'clock or to be asleep at 10 o'clock. The principle is to get enough sleep so I can be awake at 5 in the morning, or to be up early so I can exercise. Live your life by the principle. Don't live your life by the goal. The goal will help you get there. The goal is supposed to help outline the principle or the standard. The goal isn't to make $100,000 a year. The principle or the standard is to make enough money to make ends meet, and then have extra spending money for fun things or for investments or for whatever. So live your life by the principle, by the standard. Don't live by the goal. The goal will help you get there, but understand the principle. And if you're unhappy in a situation with your life, or with your relationship, with your money, with your job, with your kids, you probably don't have your principle or your standard outlined well enough. So if you understand your why, if you understand why you do something, everything makes sense. And then you understand why, you create a principle, you create a standard, and you live by it. And there's no compromise. There's no compromise for your principle. No compromise for your principle. The only reason I stay out late sometimes is because I know I don't have to be up early because I don't have a whole bunch of shit to do the next day. I stay up on the weekends sometimes because I know I can get up later on a Saturday and still get my shit in and have a good day. But I can't stay up. I can't even stay up till 10:30 on weekdays anymore, because I have to get up early, because I have exercise, I have writing, I have work, and I have my relationship all to take care of that are also important to me. And if you were here when you listened to Mashed Potatoes, he's like, he said in the chat that his principle, his goal, and his standard in life is to be an excellent husband and an excellent father. And he's able to play video games late at night because he's able to get up early in the morning, and that's the only time he can play video games, is after his family goes to sleep. And I don't ever get to play with him because I'm always in bed before he gets online to play. And so it comes off as like, I'm better than him because I go to bed early. That's not the point. The point is our goals are different, and his goal is to be the best dad and husband that he can be. And he has things that he likes to do, which is playing video games, and so he does it after he's done his dad and husband stuff. And my goal is to exercise and work really hard as well. So, but I have to get have principles and standards to live by. How to discover your purpose. This is still chapter 6, which is called Building a New Future. How to discover your purpose. What and who is worth suffering for? If social media didn't exist, what would you be doing? What comes most naturally to you? What would your ideal daily routine look like? Ideal daily routine. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be known for? I love that first one. What and who is worth suffering for? Life is suffering. To live a healthy, happy life, to live well, means suffering well and deciding what is worth suffering for. Some things are worth tolerating. some people, for example, some people behave in ways that you disagree with. And one example is some people, like I've had roommates, I've had, I'll share this. I know I'm going over on time, but I don't care. I don't fucking care. When I left on my mission, one of the pieces of advice that I remember the most um, someone told me that to learn to love and accept your companion for for who they are, because they're gonna do shit that bugs you, and it was like you're gonna have to learn the thing they said was you'll have to learn how to love your companion when they squeeze the toothpaste out of the thing in a different way that you do. And I was like, that's the dumbest piece of advice I've ever heard. And lo and behold, all of my everybody behaves differently, because you can't fuck up cleaning, like you can't fuck up where you leave the toothpaste so bad that someone's gonna die. I had companions that, like, okay, here's what I do. When I squeeze the toothpaste, I go from end to top. And I do this thing, and I like massage the ends to get all the toothpaste to the end of to the tip of the tube until it's out. That's how I do my toothpaste. I don't roll. People roll. That's fine. I just pinch. I just do the pinching massage thing to get all the toothpaste out. But some motherfuckers like to just grab the tube with big fat grip and squeeze the shit and leave their fingerprints in the toothpaste, whatever, the toothpaste. And they get their toothpaste and they just do that until it's just one fucking piece of clumped up toothpaste container. What is that thing called? And that shit drives me crazy. You know what else drives me crazy is when people put shit in the dishwasher in places that they're not supposed to be, or when you hang up your clothes and you like instead of putting it so everything faces left, you put everything facing right. Like, and then you put your shoes, instead of putting your shoes in with the heel facing you, you put your shoes in with the toes facing you in the closet. Like stupid shit bugs the crap out of me. I'm freaking OCD. But that was the point. That was what this advice turned out to be really good advice. What's worth tolerating? And I used to get mad at my companions, and I used to be like, I'd get frustrated in relationships when these people would do small things just a little bit different than I would do them. It's like putting 2 Tide Pods in the clothes washer instead of 1 Tide Pod, or putting 3 instead of 2, or whatever, or it's like, and you're like, no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. But there's not a supposed to way to do it. Maybe there's directions on the jug, and that's pretty much how I live my entire life, is following the directions as best as I can. Like my girlfriend now, when we cook, she follows the directions loosely, and she doesn't fuck up food. But I follow directions to the T because I'm afraid of fucking up the food. And so when we're cooking together, we often, like, the only time we ever fight is about is how we cook the fucking food. And it's mostly my fault because I'm fucking OCD when it comes to following instructions and living life a certain way. What's worth tolerating? I have to learn how to chill the fuck out. And but there are things but then there's more intense things. There are crazier things. Like what's an example? Maybe like how you raise your kids, your political views. There's one of the coolest pieces of advice my dad has given me is there's 6 pillars to a relationship. 6 standards or 6 values that are important to align with. It's how you raise your kids, or maybe it's 5 pillars. How you raise your kids, your political views, your religious views, your sex life, and how you spend your money. Spend and save your money. I think it's 5 pillars. Those 5 pillars are a lot more important than how you squeeze toothpaste out of the canister. how you raise your kids, your political views, your religious views. Wow, did I just forget them? How you raise your kids, religious views, political views, how you spend and save your money, and what was the fifth one? Fuck, I forgot. We're running low on time. But when you disagree with somebody, or when something doesn't quite align with your values, what is worth tolerating? What is worth suffering for? If you both, like, if one of your partners wants to put your kid through public school and you want to put your kid through private school, and that comes down to how you spend your money and how you raise your kids, those core values. And are you willing to compromise or collaborate with your partner with how you raise your kids and how you spend your money? When it comes to religious views, one of you is more religious than the other, or one of you, one has this particular belief, and this one has a contradictory or a conflicting belief. And what's worth tolerating for this partner is what's your core values. These are those pillars. Why can't I gotta go back and listen, because I don't remember the fifth one. I said it and then now I don't remember it. Okay, that's what I love though. Discovering your purpose. What and who is worth suffering for? So, okay, just to be fair, what is worth suffering for in your career? What is worth suffering for in your hobbies? For your health? What are you willing to sacrifice for your health? For your education? For your own self-improvement? Are you willing to sacrifice staying up late to get better sleep? Are you willing to sacrifice toxic friends to have better relationships and be a healthier person that way? What's worth suffering for? What's worth tolerating? Ask yourself. Chapter 7, last chapter, and then we're out of this bitch. From self-sabotage to self-mastery. Suppressing emotions is unconscious. Controlling emotions is conscious. Controlling your emotions means you have more awareness of how you feel and helps you make appropriate decisions. Sorry, I need some water. And I've been a victim of my whole childhood. My parents going through a divorce and being insecure, and I 100% suppressed my emotions. And you can ask my parents. I didn't want to talk to them about my life, even just little things about school and friends. I didn't want to talk to them, not because I didn't love or trust my parents, but because I suppressed those raw emotions when things were challenging, or even just when things were difficult. I suppressed my emotions because I didn't want to feel them. But controlling your emotions, that's the healthier way to deal with coping with hard things or with challenging things. Controlling your emotions means you have more awareness of how you feel, and it helps you make appropriate decisions. Part of experiencing inner peace is giving up your desire for happiness. I love this part. Finding peace includes sitting with your discomforts without being perturbed by them. The things that make us happy or sad are out of our control, but we can control feeling peace. We can't control because this is how I think. Happiness is it's a object. It's like a happiness isn't real. There's not a, because happiness can be experienced in different ways. So one thing that will make someone happy will make someone else unhappy. And same thing with being sad. Some things that make people sad don't bother other people. But feeling peace is almost universally similar, because feeling and that's also different. That's a different experience, but that's something we can control. Okay, let me think of an example. Being happy usually is correlated with I have money, or I have a trophy wife, or I have an awesome job, or I have stellar awesome kids. That's maybe those are, or I have the latest toys, I have the newest iPhone, or I got the nicest car, I got a nice car. Like, these are things that quote unquote make you happy. And the opposite are things that make you quote unquote sad. Like I have a beater car. I have an okay wife, or my kids get into trouble and whatever. Just the opposite of all those things. But peace, feeling peace, is not about having the nice things or avoiding the sad things. Having peace is accepting whether or not you have the things or whether or not things are going your way or not, and accepting it and dwelling in it. I think she says later on, maybe I didn't write it down, but being like, we need to let go of chasing happiness, because we can't be in a constant state of happiness. We can't. And I think I mentioned this last week, but this concept of just accepting everything for what it is, or for the things that happen to you, and it makes me think of the episode of Breaking Bad when Jesse's sitting in his drug circle group, and he looks at his instructor who has been so helpful to him the whole time, and he's like, "I made you my bitch." And he looks at all the people in the group and he says, "I'm here to sell drugs to you. I just see you as customers." And then he looks at the instructor and he says, "Are you just going to accept that? Is that just something you accept?" And then the guy says, "No." And that has to do with things that you're willing to tolerate. And as a leader, you kick that kind of person out. They're not welcome in the group. Yeah, that's the point. You can't accepting, to me, as I think about it, is acknowledging what's happening, and then you either do something about it or not. Sorry, I got fucking snot deep in my nostril. So there's and then chasing happiness. So accepting things or being aware of what's happening brings a sense of peace, because when shitty things happen to you, if you ignore them, you're going to be sad and you're not going to feel peace. But when shitty things happen to you and you accept that they're happening, and then you make changes, or you dwell on them and you meditate on them, and you have a better understanding of what's happening or how to avoid it in the future, you feel peace. But the point of feeling peace is not chasing. Happiness and peace are not the same thing. You can't have, let's see, how would this work? You can have peace and happiness can happen at the same time, but peace also, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, you can have one with the other, but you can't have the other one with the other, or the other one all by itself. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. That's why I do this podcast, because I just think things out loud, and sometimes I don't have it right. So, happiness and peace are not the same thing. That's the point. Happiness is like chasing carnal pleasures, and sadness is not having those carnal pleasures, and peace is accepting what you have and what you don't have, and then either doing something to change or being okay with it. That's peace. Okay, how to build. I promise I'm almost done. How to build mental strength. Make a plan. Be humble. Ask for help. Be aware of what you don't know, and stop trying to be psychic, which is predicting how other people feel or people's intentions. Take responsibility for all of your outcomes. That's extreme ownership. Learn how to process complex emotions. Reflect on and learn from what went wrong. Talk out your thoughts, even if it's to yourself. I talk to myself all the time, and I'm talking to myself right now. Take your time. Take triggers as signals. When you have triggers, it's the whole chapter about triggers. Be aware of what's triggering you, and make appropriate decisions. Honor your discomforts. This is how to build mental strength. How to enjoy life. This is where she says it. Stop trying to be happy. Stop trying to be happy, and instead, I would say, seek peace. That is, as Thich Nhat Hanh, I hope I'm saying his name right, from the Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet. He says, peace is an innermost need for all people. We need to feel peace. So instead of chasing happiness by going to buy cars and getting all the money in the whole world, seek peace. Seek peace. And that looks different for everyone else. For me, peace is not being overwhelmed with work, being in a comfortable and happy relationship. It also means working hard with my exercise and with my physical health. It means reading and taking in knowledge, doing shit like this. Peace is writing and contemplating my thoughts and meditating. Peace is having no conflict, or at least resolving conflict. Peace is far more important than the happiness that the things give you. So that's her first point. How to enjoy life. Stop trying to be happy. Be in the present. Stop asserting dominance or trying to prove yourself to other people. Lean into the simple pleasures, the small happinesses. Nurture your positive relationships. Learn something new as often as possible. And that's either reading books all the time, or it's going to do something. It's going out into the world and experiencing something that you have no previous experience with. Because how fun is it to do something random every now and then, and to just have a mind like a child and to just go with it, to go through the experience. And where I fault in this is a couple months ago, I have a buddy who likes to go, oh, he's in the chat. Steez Lovejoy. I'm so humble. In fact, I'm the most humble person I know. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I'm here. Hey, B Moon, I'm here. You're not talking to yourself. Love you, boys. Steez do be here, too. Yeah, Steezy Lovejoy is a really good skater, rollerblader, skater, whatever. And I suck at it, and I don't want to go skating. And that's just how I feel. That's my raw emotion. And everyone wanted to go skating a couple weeks ago after dinner, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to go skating. But we went, and I had a great time, and it was with my friends, and it's something I suck at. But having the open mind to, and not having a bad attitude about doing shit like that, because skating one night is not going to kill me, and I don't have to go skating every night. But it was something that I know he enjoyed himself, and everyone else was having a good time. And anyway, so that has to do with learn something new as often as you can. So go learn a language or some shit. I don't know. Go to yoga or go do fucking tap dance lessons. I've talked about how I want to be a good swimmer, and I haven't swam once since I said that. So maybe I don't really care to be a good swimmer. But this is what she's saying. I got to stop interjecting. How to enjoy life. Be aware of what you give your energy to. Schedule time to do nothing. And if you need to learn how to do nothing, go read Do Nothing by Celeste Headley. Schedule time to play and become a master of yourself. Beautiful. It's not what happens, but how do you respond that determines. I don't like how I said that. It's not what happens, but how you respond that determines the outcome for life. And that's the book. That's the book. The Mountain is You. She closes the book talking about the mountain being the struggles in life, and you either sit at the base of the mountain and never make the ascent. You never work on yourself. Like she said several times, you hide behind the distractions of discomfort, and you never take the challenge. You never make the ascent. But as soon as you do, the sooner you start working on yourself to find peace and stop self-sabotaging yourself. You can look behind and see how much progress you made. And eventually, you will be on the descent. You'll be on the other side of the peak. And life will be easier. Your habits will be easier. Or the decisions you make will become more routine. The good decisions. And then you'll have another mountain to climb. And that's just about continually pushing yourself. Continually climbing. It's a never-ending mountain. And then you go listen to Miley Cyrus's Climb. It's always gonna be an uphill battle. Wait. There's always gonna be another mountain. You're always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes you're gonna have to lose. What's the Lord? Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Yeah, that's a good one. There you go. That's how we're gonna end this with Miley Cyrus. Yeah. I made a postscript comment. But I don't know if I want to talk about it. So I said, she says happiness is the default for life. So the more you fight unhappiness, the happier, the sooner you stop fighting unhappiness, the happier you will be. I think indifference is the default. I don't think people are naturally happy or unhappy. I think they're naturally indifferent. And it takes effort to be happy. And like I said with the physical pleasures, I think happiness is not the goal, but peace is. But having peace induces happiness. Having peace induces happiness. Because when you feel peace with your friends and you feel peace in your relationship, at your job, in your hobbies, with your goals, when you feel peace, you feel happy. And that's what we should all. That's what That's what people are after. They want to be happy. They just don't know how to get there. And I think the way to be happy is to feel peace. Is to seek peace, whatever that peace looks like for you. For some people, and I saw a lot of these people, peace is being religious and going to church and praying and reading scriptures and thinking about God and the next life, spending time in holy places like Mormon temples. And some people, peace looks like having a glass of wine for me, peace is a lot more of having quality time with my friends, my family, a glass of wine, some yummy food. I don't like to get fucked up these days, but I do like having a couple drinks of alcoholic beverages, and just like sitting around with my friends. But peace also looks like exercising every day and putting time into the things that I care about, like my job and my relationship and my hobbies. I love to play the guitar and playing video games. And video games are super competitive, and I always have a better time when I am less competitive. That's not always true. Sometimes being super competitive is really fun. But taking it too serious and getting down on myself when I lose makes video games not fun. But playing guitar is super peaceful for me. Listening to good music, listening to inspiring books like this, peace. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm like 30 minutes over. I don't fucking care. Go find peace. Go figure out what makes you happy. And if you need a reminder, I gave a whole list on... I read several lists, but I would just recommend reading the book. Stop self-sabotaging yourself and turn your self-sabotage into self-mastery. Take control of your life because you're fully capable of it. No matter where you're at in life, whether you have all the money in the world, whether you have some of it, or whether you have none of it, there's always something that you can do to improve where you're at in life. And I love to a lot of... you're going to make me sing Miley Cyrus again, but it's always going to be an uphill battle. It's always going to be challenging, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But that's how you know it's working, because it's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to suck sometimes. Life is not about seeking happiness or pleasure. Life is about... we're gonna just define life right now. Life is not about feeling pleasure all the time. Life is about feeling peace. And feeling peace means suffering sometimes. Feeling peace means suffering sometimes. But that's the point. Not all the time. You can be like Wim Hof. If you know who Wim Hof is, he likes to sit in ice baths. And most people don't like when their shower is 1 degree cooler than their comfort level. But for Wim Hof, cold water is the default. Cold water is his comfort because that puts his mind in a different place. peace and comfort is a result of suffering. It's not a result of happiness or of getting all the stuff. Peace is a result of suffering and discomfort and taking those challenges and winning and sometimes losing and acknowledging the loss and working to fix it to win next time. That's peace and happiness. Me, 138031. You have been in the chat before, and I don't know if you've been aware, but I do podcasts now on Monday mornings, so I'm happy you're here. Hey B Moon says, Hale's dad takes cold showers every morning, and he never gets sick. Sidebar. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about the science of cold water immersion, but I'm well over. I've spent way too much time talking about things, and that's kind of the point. Zach and Horse for the competitive comment. Yeah, and I've been there. I know how it feels to lose bets, and it sucks. I lose bets all the time. I lost $400 in a series of competitive gaming in one day, and that shit sucks. But you got to take your losses with grace. And you either have a good attitude when you bet in the next time, or you don't bet anymore. You gotta have grace. You have to have grace in your loss, and that's how you find peace. I just feel you pay your debts, and you don't let it weigh you down. And then also, if you're betting, whatever, fuck it. Thanks for showing up, boys. Let's have a good week. We got New Year's coming up this weekend. I hope to see you. I will be here, Monday, January 3rd. This is the last podcast of 2021. Fuck yeah, baby. Fuck yeah. Next year, 2022. Hey, love this joke. Hey, guys, I'll see you next year. Adios.
している。